1975?
Yep.
Okay.
Five. Say that we're good.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you. If you can grab a seat, we're going to go ahead and start it. You might have to cozy up to a neighbor because we're packed and there's still a few people outside. Come on in. So thank you so much for coming this morning.
Sorry.
I'm Allison Dorr,
Sorry about
founder of
that,
Coffee
fam.
Closers, and we are so thrilled to be here in the gorgeous music factory. It has taken quite a bit of work, more than I think I realized. Thank you. So I have a couple people here that I want to introduce that really have a big impact on making this event possible. The first two are Abby and Justin from China.
Thanks, Allison. Good morning, Coffee and Closers crew. Is everybody, and this is Justin Belfany, and we're with a company called TriNet. How many people here are either an employee of an organization or have employees by a show of hands? That should be like everyone, right? How many of you would say, by a show of hands, that employees are an organization's biggest asset? Awesome. At TriNet, we partner with small and mid-sized businesses to minimize risk, maximize efficiencies, and attract and retain top talent. We enable these companies to have access to large group benefits and resources through a series of configurable products on a services and technology platform. And we do all of this at a small business cost. If you have some time today, be sure to check out our People Matter campaign at trinet.com.
Thank you. Yes, you guys, they're amazing. Please come see Justin and Abby. They're incredible people, and they have a great service as well. There's one more person I want to thank. Unfortunately, she is sick at home in bed. So Kate DeLeo couldn't be here today, but she is with Noble. She has business cards and bags. She is fantastic as well. If you are having issues with your brand, or having problems connecting with people from the initial introduction to getting them to close, she can help you, and she is fantastic. So again, Kate DeLeo at Noble, and her business cards, our squares, and in the back. Now, I want to bring out our MC, Rich Strobel, who will get you much more excited than I ever can. Rich is an absolutely fantastic individual and dear friend of ours. If you know him, you love him. If you don't, you should. So with that, I will introduce Rich.
Coffee and Closers, how are we doing this morning? Okay, guys, this is actually a theater, and in theater, you need to work for your time. Because of science, it takes longer for applause and laughter and cheers to make it all the way up to the stage. So, we try that one more time. This is not really work for everybody. I don't know if you've looked around, but we're in a theater, so one more time. You guys ready? Big show today. Good morning, Coffee and Closers. I knew you had it in you. So proud of you guys. This is exciting. So, who's first time here today? Awesome. Who's back for more than one? Who's a return guest? Guys, thank you. This would look really weird and frankly be kind of sad if nobody came. So we really need you guys to just be us up here. You can make it look good on Instagram, but that's not really what we're going for. So thank you for coming back. If this is your first time, I'm excited for you to experience this for the first time. This is a podcast that we record during this event that has been in the top 5 sales podcasts on Apple and Spotify. This event itself has won numerous awards. It was one of the On Fire top 50 last year, and we took on some hardware during this year. So really excited about that. But that's all about you. And where this started is what's exciting about this journey. So if we go back, once upon a time, this started as just a conversation among some salespeople at a Fuel Collective back in the COVID days. And that conversation started because there was a desire to learn and a desire to share. And the happy little accident that occurred in the process of that was this fellowship and that sense of community that, man, we're not in this alone. Because it's kind of funny and hard to understand that a profession that's literally talking to people all day, every day, can feel so damn lonely sometimes. But you're not out there by yourself. And that desire to learn and sharpen the saw and collaborate and share with each other is what was the genesis for what is now Coffee and Closers. Jump ahead to today, we're in a theater. We've outgrown 3 different co-working spaces here in Minneapolis. And when we think about what's next, that's where we start to get really, really excited. So when you guys get done here today, and when you head out there, make sure you find Dario, okay? Find Dario at the Closers Community booth, because you're going to want to get signed up to be the first to learn about what's coming next. You guys have asked for more access to the minds that we've been able to curate in this event, and you are going to have through the Closers Community, through the learning platforms, through our Facebook group, you're going to have an unparalleled access to some of the greatest minds in this community. I'm talking never before seen kind of stuff. He's going to come to your house at night and tuck you into bed singing smarketing lullabies as you drift off to sleep. And when you wake up in the morning, you're not going to lose. Guys, Aaron's going to be there in your kitchen. I don't know if he's getting the key, but he's going to be in your kitchen cooking you eggs and bacon and making your coffee that he ground by hand himself that morning to make sure that you have the best possible. I'm doing the thing right now. Well, like, how much of that? I know, but like, not right now, like future state though, right? Like, none of it? I'm in sales, I got this. Let's not let the technical details get in the way of us coming to a great agreement today, right? I think we can let our technical teams figure out the nuts and bolts when we get to implementation, am I right? We can all agree that this is really exciting. So make sure you guys stop by, find out about that. But let's get back to the show. Today, I'm about to bring on your hosts. I need your help. It's a little shy from people, so you guys need to give a really warm welcome. Because Nikolai Bedore is the founder and creator of Coffee and Closers. And when he's not doing this, he's in the profession himself. He's on the front lines. He's one of the top salespeople. He's a perennial award winner at some of the largest tech companies in the United States. So please, from the diaphragm, let's give a warm welcome for today's host, Nikolai Bedore.
Thank you for coming, and for all those people over there, come on in. Every one of these seats has been claimed, so take your seat you paid for it. Come on in. Come on in. It's like a big warm bottle. My name is Nikolai Bedore. I'm going to be your captain on this, and I'm going to share Kris with you. But before we do, I just want to... When I was a kid, I used to sneak out, and I used to those TVs with the little 9-inch screen, and 50 people showing up, 2 salespeople. So I just want to, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. With that, my gift back to you is I'm going to introduce today's guest, right? You might have seen today's guest with his arms wide open, literally everywhere. Park benches, the side of buses, he's got a tram stamp, billboards, the whole sphere, right? But what people don't know is the true Kris, and one thing about him is you got a chance to know, he's one of the kindest guys I've met, right? People also don't realize they have sold more real estate, him and his team, than most home developers have built homes in an entire decade, right? And they also give more time and more money to our community than most people will ever earn in a lifetime. Please give a warm Coffee Closers welcome to Mr. Kris Lindahl. We asked your team to give us some walk-up music. They didn't, so you got free. Well, first of all, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate having me. I love this venue. It's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. Kind of back at the end. Old band days. Last time I was on the stage, I was about 40 pounds later. Enough about me. So, something that Kris, just to keep this up, something that Kris had promises to be an open book. Okay? 30 minutes from now, there's going to be a Q&A, and you guys have the opportunity to ask him everything you've ever wanted to ask him about all the things you think you know, right? But out of respect for my guests, and out of respect for the 70% of our listeners that don't live in Minnesota, that would apply, we're going to focus on your social selling acumen, because it's off the chart, how you scale, and how you close. But to get started, I didn't know what MC Hammer must have gone through. Because when we announced we were going to have a show, I feel like everyone came out of the woodworks and be like, I know this, did you know that, did you know that? But getting to know the man, they don't know you. You guys don't know him. The way that you've gone overboard to help us to make this a success is amazing. And people don't know could have rooted in where you grew up. You grew up in Fridley, right? You raised 4 kids raised by a single mom. And there were some days that were really tough. What I want to ask you is, help us to understand the fuel.
Yeah.
That fuel that fires you each and every day to keep building this bigger and faster and better.
Yeah, so, great question. What's so interesting about that is I really attribute almost everything that where I am today on sports, on athletics and that competitive drive. And I look at the early days of being so aggressive and so competitive and at times destructive, right? And just like do whatever it takes to win. And over time, it's evolved into like, now like I can take this competitive drive and I can channel it into greater good. And you know, like you had mentioned in the intro, you know, I've learned how to use our platform, and competitiveness to me today is not only helping the people in our company, watching them succeed with their families, watching them flourish in the leaders in their community, but also watching the community in general, the impact that we can have with the platform that we built. And I truly believe that we're just getting started in that. And I've never looked at my story as like a sob story or a struggle. Like, I feel like I lived a normal life. Did I have a resource to me at disposal? No. But I made the best of it, and every day I showed up with that mindset that I'm going to win one way or another.
Yeah, well, it's working. All right, so you grew up in, you know, so you mentioned children. I think some of the best. How many salespeople do we have here? Right on. How many founders? So all of us, entrepreneurs, I always say this and I get blamed for it. Entrepreneurs is a fancy French word for a salesperson. But we all had a chip on our shoulder, right? So 2009, you thought, I'm going to go stake my claim in real estate. Bottom of the recession.
When you say stake my claim, I didn't actually even know what I was doing. I had a friend that said, hey, you should get your real estate license, and I had no idea what I was doing. You know, I think like a lot of people get into real estate, it wasn't what you dreamed of or thought that was the first thing you were going to do. I fell backwards into real estate. I got my license, and it was tough. Like, it was really tough. And you know, I hear all the time now, you know, when you see a successful company building a brand in marketing, one of the big things that comes up all the time is wow, what's that going to look like in a recession, right? Like, that comes up all the time. Like how are they going to survive? And how are they going to be able to spend this much money in marketing in a recession? And to me, it's like, that's the most exciting time. Like, I started there. Like, that doesn't scare me. That excites me. When I look at what a recession looks like, I look at, hey, this is just another opportunity for us to play chess when everyone else doesn't know how to play chess, you know? And so that's what I'm super excited about. And, you know, because we've scaled and we've grown and we've had so many leaders in our organization scale and grow as well, like, our people are the difference that are going to get us through any changing landscape we face.
That's awesome. And so let's talk about that a little bit. So, you know, I can get my real estate license in a weekend, right? It's fun. There's a lot of real estate. That's the fact, you know. You did that at the bottom of the recession, and at that time, about that time, you chose the decision to, instead of your, you know, a company, you could protect yourself with a company brand. You put yourself out there. So I would love to kind of dig into that to say, what was the logic behind that decision? Tell us about the good and the bad of that decision, and tell us about those days where maybe that visibility scares you. Should I be able to overcome that?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, when I look at personal branding, you know, back then, one of the things that stood out to me is that every single person remembered their real estate agent, but didn't remember the brokerage, right? And so that was a consistent thing. Like, wow, like, people remember this human connection that they have to another person. why would I create a brand name that people don't have that emotional connection to, right? We want to connect to another person. And so over time, I started looking at this. I asked everyone, because I'm a constant learner, trying to grow. I asked everyone, like, oh, who did you use as your last real estate agent? What's brokerage? No one could name it, right? But everyone would remember the real estate agent's name. And so for me, like, that was like the moment where I was like, gosh, why would I create a brand where people don't remember it when people want to connect to people? And we were a little bit ahead of our times, and now today you see so many visible CEOs and so many business leaders that are out there, right, that are on social media that, I mean, Tesla's one of the best examples. They spend no money on marketing and sell, millions and millions of vehicles. And I mean, they did it with their smaller sedan, they just did it with their Cybertruck, right? With an unconventional marketing plan with no PR, they've developed this through social media, through that personal branding. And then to the second part of your thing, the difficulty, in sort of the early days of building the brand, like the attacks, right? Like, the attacks, a lot of it's like the telephone game where like the stories that get back to us in our company are so distorted from what reality actually is. And a lot of it's originated in the industry, right? So, at times we have people that start to play defense instead of offense, and we have leaders that are leading companies that their meetings are all about what we're doing. And I look back to our days, we've always been focused on where we're going. We've never been focused on anyone else. And so I think that's the biggest challenge that so many people have in this world. And you see it on social media, you see it everywhere. We're so worried about what someone else is doing that we lose track of where our life's going, right? And then the other part of that is you have, Reddit, Twitter, and everyone's got an opinion of me, and they say all these things, and there are all these hurtful things. And when I was first starting to grow the brand, like it hurt. I mean, I went from this like super likable, like friends with everyone, to like everyone had a conversation, everyone had a rumor, like there were all these things, and like what I realized is like I have to detach myself from the emotion of the supporters, the constructive feedback, and the negative, and know that I continue moving forward no matter what the feedback is. And that's a hard thing for most people, and I found that most people get stuck in that in-between,
Yes.
and then when they face some adversity, they can't get to that next level.
How do you, and I don't want to go to your yoga routine or anything, but, here's the deal with you, like, we used to talk about real estate thing, like, you're not a celebrity chef, you're not a rock star, but you're famous. I mean, I just read an article that Kris Lindahl is in Minnesota top ditch. I'll send you that article. But I know what you're saying, because when we went to DG, it was a little bit deep, because me and my wife, you know what I mean? And every time that someone would say no, I took that to heart. You're on a totally different level. You probably know it probably. How do you mentally just, where do you find your strength?
Yeah, you really have to figure out what you're personally passionate about, right? And so that, I think so much of this kind of starts to sound so cliche when we talk about community cultures and all these things. I mean, it's so overused. But if you don't have something that drives you past, more resources, more money, more things, if you don't have something that's pushing you to the next limit, you'll never accomplish it. I'm so confident that in our organization, when someone goes to the next level, it's not for another home sale, it's not to help another homeowner, it's not to help another home buyer. It is literally because they are living out their purpose and something way bigger than that. For us, that happens to be generous and give back our time, treasure, and talents. It's exactly why I show up to so many things that people tell me I shouldn't show up to, because I want to continue to give back and I want to stay rooted. And quite honestly, the number one reason, I don't want people to make the same mistakes I had to, right? So if I can give back and add value to others, like where they don't can bypass 40 of the pain points that I went through, like that's, to me, that's ultimate living.
Do you have any, I want to talk about your mission. So we're not going to skip over that. I think people don't know how much you give, and it's amazing. And how it's really, I don't think culture is a naughty word. I think people need culture. I know what we, social media, it's all about culture, it's all about team. But we'll get there. For the people that are considering, social selling right now is big, and I want to get into that. But putting your brand first, like that decision, for those people that are maybe going on their own, maybe consultants, and they got to do that, is there any advice that you could give them on how to control? Maybe is that a good decision for them to do? Would you do it again?
Yeah, it's,
How would you live up today?
yeah, putting your everyone has a personal brand, right? One way or another, whether you run your own business or not, like what you post, what you say, if it's hot topic or not, whatever it is It's over and over again. I see people that get so caught up in crazy things, they start posting, they go back and forth, and by the end, no one wins.
Yeah.
But the thing that no one's calculating is that they unfollow you, they unsubscribe, and the personal brand and you as a person is the only thing you have. Like your integrity. And so if you stand up and take, you take a stance on something, just know that you are going to lose half your people on whatever that is. And I'm not saying that you should have strong beliefs, you should believe in what you're doing, but I think as a society, like we all have this obligation to be kind to one another, and just because someone doesn't agree with your points doesn't mean that you can't be friends.
Yeah. Amen. So let's get the technical stuff. So for some takeaways, you had said something interesting on the phone. You had said everyone likes a salesperson until they start to feel that they're being sold, right? And I'm sure in your industry, there's all kinds of flavors. Something that you have absolutely mastered, and I really want to get into, is your social selling acumen. I mean, even here at Closing Media, so rolling out a new brand and rolling out some of their platforms. Kris is so hours on the phone. You're at that. This guy, thank you. Could you kind of walk us through and maybe give us some tangible advice on platforms, on strategy, on how to successfully social sell?
When I hear the word social selling, I never feel like I'm selling, right? I think that's the first part, is I don't actually feel like what I'm doing is selling. We are educating, right? So we are, I mean, if we look back to when we first started the seller workshops, I watch homeowners lose tens of thousands of dollars by falling for the friends and family trap. I feel there's an obligation to using a friend or a family member that they don't do any other research. Arguably the most significant investment of their life, they do no research. So if we can educate them and give a little bit back, like what I know is like the law of reciprocity fair exchange, like if we give so much to others, they will feel obligated to give back in return the same way the gift giving in this world has worked forever. The other part of if we're talking about advice and really putting yourself out there, is that everyone tries to be someone else, and what you need to be is yourself, right? So, for example, in our world, like, I see so many real estate agents and brokers and team leaders that are trying to do what we're doing, and it doesn't work, right? They get on there and it's like, we've got this house, we're selling this, sign up for this, sign up for that, and they're asking for all of this information, and they've never given any value. And so you watch it happen over and over again, and one of my friends told me, like, this is the best example I can think of is like, you have this business equity account, and if you haven't made any deposits in it, how can you take withdrawals, right? So when you look at people on social media, like that language is awful, right? Like, I mean, over and over again, and it's so obvious when someone's trying to be someone they're not, right? You have to be true to whoever you are, and it doesn't make it right or wrong. We're all unique, and we all have strengths and we have weaknesses. Focus on your strengths rather than trying to be someone that you're not.
Absolutely. If you don't mind, let's take that a little bit further on some of the platforms. Yeah. Some of the things, Facebook groups. We didn't have one up until Friday, but now we do thanks to. Figure it out. Talking about some of the
Let's just share what happened.
Yeah.
If you're okay with that.
I'm good with it.
Okay, so I was talking to him towards the end of the week, and he was telling me, like, hey, our community wants way more. Like, we've surveyed, we've heard that they want to connect, and Rich had mentioned that at the beginning. And he said, we're going to build the software, we're going to do all these big things, on Super Bowl commercials. You log into Facebook, the first thing it says is start a Facebook group. Why not do the thing that most everyone in this room is already on, and start there, add value, build value, and then navigate to some sort of technology platform rather than trying to go to A to Z. And by the way, we all try to do this. We all try to complicate things and think that we need something that's way more sophisticated when there's something right in front of us that we can launch at a moment's notice and add value immediately.
Amen. Powered by Kris Lindahl. So that same article that I found out about the hot dish thing, I just want to get on that, by the way. As Minnesota's hot dish. Is in 2013 and 2014, you, in that span of time, you and your assistant closed 300 transactions. Has anyone here in their lifetime closed 300 transactions? That's insane. So now you have a team. You have a fantastic team. I'm assuming they're following that same exact negotiation to close process. Would you share that process with us?
Yeah, so, it doesn't even, when you say that, it doesn't feel like I did that. Like, even when I was doing it, it didn't feel like I did that. You know, I just, every day woke up my mindset never shifts. Like, I think that's the difference. And I watch, you know, I've been fortunate to be inside of so many organizations throughout the years. And one thing that I can always tell is if your mindset's right? And so we have a successful month and we celebrate, and then the next 2 months are bad, and we do this roller coaster up and down. And it really doesn't require that much work, it just requires us to show up. And the mindset of showing up is not easy, right? So we have some success, and then what happens is like we celebrate the success, and we have to service the business and the success that we had, that we're focused on following up, solving problems, getting to the, you know, in real estate, getting to the, you know, the closing, that we don't prospect and we don't follow up on other opportunities along the way. And so we take this huge roller coaster, but it's so interesting because as human beings, we always want to blame someone else, or we always want to blame something else on why it's not effective. Like, we need more opportunities, we don't have enough opportunities, we need more. And so I've watched, you know, from the early days of our company, everyone thought they needed more, right? But then when you actually went into our CRM and you looked at the follow-up, it's like, well, we didn't show up for our potential client. Why do we need more if we can't show up for them, right? And so these are the types of things that started to happen. And then you look at, you know, when people reach out to us, what I know is like, one of the most stressful transactions is real estate. When they reach out to us, they want a leader. They want a leader. They don't want someone that sends a passive question, like, hey, are you still looking for a home? Like, listen, like they're looking for a home year-round, whether they're behind one or not. Everyone has a search set up on a platform, right? But if we leave them and say, hey, we have these opportunities that you can't find online, you have to add true value, and, you know, I look at 99% of sales companies, we try to qualify people before adding value, right? So you know, in the real estate world, that's, are you pre-approved? Do you have another agent? Those are the first things that almost every single real estate agent asks you if you inquire on a property online, or if you call on a sign, or you inquire on an app. They're constantly qualifying you. If you stand in like the consumer's shoes, you realize they clicked a button to tour a home. They didn't click a button to get pre-approved. They didn't click a button to ask their credit score. They didn't click a button to ask what their pay stubs are, or their tax returns, or any of those things. They wanted to see a home. That's all they wanted to do. And so for us, that's all we do, right? All we do is we show them the home, which is exactly what the consumer wanted. The problem is that most people in sales or in real estate, all they can think about is the commission, right? Like, gotta close another one, gotta close another one, gotta close another one. Then they start thinking with the commission first, and the consumer can feel it, right? So if you add value first, like if you add so much value, they're like, wow. And we know that most people inquire on multiple properties and engage with multiple agents. And when they come in contact with us and it's all value, and we go way over the top, and we control the experience 100% of the time, it stands out, right? It's just like going to a restaurant today. When you get great service, it stands out now. Like, it's not normal to get like superior service. And so when it does, you're like, wow, like, you might tip more than your audience. And it has to do with the Uber. And I've recorded videos over the years about my experiences with all these different things that I come in contact with, because I'm always trying to learn. I got in this Uber last week, and it was the second time that I had this Uber driver. Immediately before I opened the door, the driver said, I remember you, right? So the driver I remember you, and he said, his first question he asked, did you leave me a review last time? He asked me, did you leave me a review? And I didn't. Did you leave me a review, 5-star review if I earned it? So I leave him a review. He said, tells me, he literally knows the app inside out. This is the driver. Go into your past rides, click this, you can still leave a review. He said the algorithm, and I thought, a driver telling me the algorithm of Uber is like mind-blowing, right? So, like, wow, like, algorithm, if you tip and if you leave a review, I'm more likely to get the ride when I'm in the vicinity again. So I was like, this is like a whole different level than any experience that I've ever had. Not from a consumer experience, but just from a knowledge of understanding and adding value. 2 days ago, I get an alert on my Uber for the first time ever. This driver thanked me for my tip. I didn't even know that you could thank someone in the Uber app for a tip. So Sunday evening, he's going through all of his past rides, I'm sure, and he's thanking every single person that gave him a tip, which sends a push notification to me as the consumer. I've taken thousands of Ubers. I've never had that conversation in the Uber, and I've never got an alert for thank you for a tip. Our world has become, become acceptable for someone to receive a tip and never say thank you. Right? You go to a place and now like you put in your credit card and you are like obligated to tip, and the person at the register doesn't even say thank you anymore.
Yeah.
Right? It's those little things stand out so much in our world.
Absolutely. So with that, scaling, you scale this incredible team. You've had this close process, and now you're speaking on this topic. I see a lot of V-Generous shirts around here.
Yeah.
Speaking of your team, how have you taken that experience or those daily experiences and kind of, I want to talk about how you hire and how you teach them, this is how we do things because it's the right way to do things. And you have people struggle with following it.
Yeah.
Scaling.
I mean, scaling is hard, really hard. Hiring people is hard. One of the biggest challenges of scaling is like life showing up, honestly. Like life showing up for people, tragedies, events, deaths, sickness. That's honestly the hardest part of scaling. We've made so many mistakes along the way. We by no means have it all figured out. Like we're still constantly learning and growing and trying to get to a point where we know that 100% of the time we can deliver world-class service. And what I know about is that all the other brokerages around the country have what's called innovator's dilemma. They actually can't do it because they can't do what we can do. And I'll tell you just a brief high-level overview. Because all the other real estate brokers, they hire real estate agents as independent contractors, and each agent goes out and does their own business with friends and family, and they're responsible for building their own brand and doing their own thing. That if you reach out to XYZ brokerage, and it's that type of model, like the XYZ brokerage cannot deliver the same experience every single time because they're 100% dependent on the agent to deliver that. Where our model was built in a team environment where what I realized from my early days is there's a lot of things that I'm not great at, so why don't we create a system where we can support the weaknesses of real estate agents so that they can do the things that they're great at. Whereas other brokerages, because over the last 20 years, their value add was more commission to the agent, higher split. That was how they attracted people, or through acquisitions. But this concept of like creating a world-class experience never even crossed the mind of a real estate brokerage, and now it's too late. Like they literally can't do it. And I'll share another sort of observation that I've made over the past few months. It has to do with Amazon. Amazon has dominated branding, awareness, all that. What most people don't know is their sole focus is consumer experience. And that related a lot to us. Like we've dominated the front end marketing, branding, like everyone knows who we are. And our number one goal now is to really focus on that consumer experience. If you've noticed, almost every single Amazon delivery truck is a gray van with an Amazon logo in the corner now, with someone showing up with an Amazon dress shirt when they deliver it. And you notice before that, reviews, frequently asked questions on every product. Continue to give the consumer more of what they want. But most people don't see those little details of an Amazon. They say like, I order a package, but they're not looking for those clues on how they can take things back to their business. And so you look, a year ago, that experience from Amazon was a driver that might also have been a Lyft driver, might also have been Uber, might also have been Instacart, and all these Bike Squad, DoorDash, all these different places. And packages were jammed in the car, the personal vehicle. Maybe they had a safety vest, unlikely, to where they're at now, right? Where now they're controlling this consumer experience where you get the experience online, but then you also get the human interaction of that experience as well with sharp dress, nice looking vehicle. Like that's the world that we live in today. You look at anything that we engage in as a consumer, the number one reason we do it is because of the experience, right? It's convenience. And for the first time ever, we have convenience that has superseded loyalty, right? So if you think that your value add is the people that you know, you're going to be in trouble, right? You have to provide so much value that someone can click a button and they can do business with you.
I love it. Let's dream for a minute because I think what needs to be said is some of the plans you have on the horizon. Because I'm a real estate agent, but I've never met anyone that's knowing them, ever.
Thank you.
I mean, really. Let's dream a little bit. Because I think it's very interesting how you approach your business, how you guys sell, but also how you grow your business. Like your peers just staying in that one sell and sell homes to people. Like you guys have workshops, you have all podcasts, you have all different things on the horizon. Can you share some of those things and how that ties back to your business?
Of course. course, yeah. So one thing that we've been learning, and this is just from asking questions and being observed and having that active listening hat on 24/7, is that just like I said, those things, people also want that in real estate. This is exactly why we launched the Guaranteed Offer Program. Click a button, get an offer in 48 hours or less. Is it for everyone? No, but it's a solution for some, right? Relocation, inherit property, you need new carpet, you need these things. Maybe you have equity in the home, but you don't have cash now. Like, there's all these scenarios that is exactly why we created that program. Now, the other things that we're going to create is we're launching another program in the upcoming weeks where we are, as a general contractor, we are going to help people do the repairs to their home, and they can pay at closing for no upcharge. Because we've learned, like, there's equity, but there might not be cash, and there are these things, right? So continuing to educate the consumer is like the forefront of that. The other thing that is a unique advantage we have in the market is, you know, most people in this room wouldn't know any other business executive in any other real estate brokerage because they're built around the brand name, not around a person. Everything that I do, including being here right now, benefits our real estate business. But it also benefits the personal branding and the giving back, the podcast, the Kris Lindahl show, all of these things that we do. One of the big things that's on the horizon is, and I always take steps towards things that people show me we should go to. Like, I never take a step towards something where I'm very popular on my personal LinkedIn, personal Instagram, personal Facebook, all of these platforms, is that people want more from me, right? They want to know, how did you, of 30,000 real estate agents, how did you stand out from all of them, right? Most people in this room are not in an industry with 30,000, right? It's significantly less. So in the upcoming months, we're going to create masterminds at very intimate setting, at a house setting, where we're going to bring in our copywriters, our funnel builders, our marketing, all these different departments, and we're going to share with a small group of people everything that we built to try to help other people build a personal brand like we have. I didn't realize how many people want to do what we're doing, right? And so when I look at it, I'm like, this is an opportunity to help our Be Generous project, which is our 501c3, to generate more for that and to give back more to the community. And by the way, when we put out there that we're going to launch masterminds, we're going to do these things, it also helps our real estate business as well. It's very unique because if you're thinking about buying or selling a house, do you want to use the company that's teaching other local entrepreneurs and business leaders how to stand out and how to market and do those things? It's super attractive. Why wouldn't we use them if they can teach others and other business leaders how to do that? And so it's this cycle where everything works together because it's built around personal brand. Just like an Elon Musk, just like a Bill Gates, just like, right, you got the Gates Foundation, you have Microsoft, you have SpaceX, you have Tesla, right? Notice that there are more things. And and the other thing that I've learned about salespeople, visionaries, entrepreneurs, is distraction, right? It's chasing wildly all these new ideas where nothing gets completed, right? We have all these half-done projects. And the reason why our company is where we are today is because I have not lost focus. And when I look back to the early days, I thought I was going to do everything, right? I was going to do this, I was going to do that. I stay so focused. You haven't seen anything else that we are doing as a company other than staying true to helping consumers get more for their house and for buyers to find opportunities that are not on the market. That's what we've stayed true to. And you're going to continue to grow that. But now we're just going to add one layer in where we're going to start teaching other business leaders and business owners that want to do what we're doing. And there might be some real estate agents that are at other brokerages that want to step out and create their own independent brokerage. You want to know, how did you break free from the national chains and brokerages and create this whole thing? That will all be part of that. And what I want is, I want this place to be a place where when you leave, you literally have all the action steps to do it. I've been to so many events where I've been flat out ripped off. And I don't want to be a part of that event. Like I said earlier, my personal brand, my personal integrity is by far the most important thing that I have. That I will never put something on that I can't 1,000% stand behind and know that it's delivering value. And we've lived it and made all these mistakes. I'm hoping that we can give them back to more people so they don't have to make those mistakes. Because quite honestly, you see the success stories, but there are far more casualties than success stories in trying to build a personal brand. Most people fail. Most people can't get to this level. It is super tough. It requires a lot of resources, and it requires a lot of risk.
So I'm getting the hook, but I want a couple questions. So selfishly, you guys need a chance. Question for you about it. Let's talk about be generous, because I think sales is lonely, right? And if you don't have a purpose or a mission behind it, good luck, right? Staying motivated. Tell us about be generous real quick, and then how it fuels kind of your success.
Yeah, so, you know what's so awesome is when you have an organization with like-minded people, that's how you win. And you win at a level that no one can stop. People are like, oh, you have all this marketing, like, we win because our people are connected, and they all share the same things. This is exactly, by the way, why every single sports team that wins a championship has the best locker room. And that's why, like, even locally, and all over the country for that matter, you've seen people inside of sports organizations that cause major headaches, and notice how fast the organizations ship them out. Like, really quick, they push them out fast, because they know that that's a detriment to the organization. And so when we hire to that generosity, in watching what people do with generosity and giving back time, treasures, and talents in our organization is the most rewarding thing to live for. Like, to watch people not only show up for their community, but to bring their family in on it, right? So now all of a sudden they've got their sons, their daughters, their friends, their family, their husbands, their wives, their spouses, and parents, and all these things, and they all show up with this generosity. It also shows us as a company, we learn a lot more about them, right? So we learn about, hey, what are you passionate about? Like, what is your cause? Like, how do we support more of that? Like, those are the types of things that show up. And, you know, I remember the early days of, like, having core values and mission and vision. The first step is to go on Google and copy someone else's. Like, that's what a lot of people do. And then the second step is you put them on the wall, and then no one knows what they are, right? You walk into most organizations, you ask, hey, like, what do you stand for? No one would be able to say. So we have, you know, we had like 7 or 8, I think we had 14 at one point. I didn't even know what they were, right? And so over time, the one that has just stood out and has taken over is to be generous, right? And so to, you know, really to like positively impact everyone and everything that we come in contact with through generosity. And so we're in a world right now where we need so much of that. And I think that's what stands out. And I would tell you that when I wear these t-shirts, which is almost every day, I felt like I had to dress up a little bit more for this. I'm a freshman. But I get stopped by so many people, and not even locally, everywhere. Because I think in a society, we all know that we need more generosity. Like, we all need to come together with the environment and culture that social media has created, which there's good and there's bad. Like, we've become very distant, we've become very selfish, and like, a lot of people are very focused on, like, how do I get another comment on my bank account? How do I get the vote? How do I get this? How do I get this? How do I get that? You know, and over time, I watched all these people chase these things, and everyone ended up empty every single time, right? You're always chasing the next thing, but when you're living a fulfilled life, and you're surrounded with people that are doing the same things, like, anything's possible.
Absolutely. I have one more question, but I want to speak on really quick. Something that we kind of went over, but we always celebrate the fail, man, right? Like, not everyone can be Elon Musk, but everyone can fail. So speak on biggest sales fail.
Biggest sales fail. Oh, this is a good one. Walking into a closing and not knowing your clients. Right? So did the transaction over the phone, like it was a quick sale, walking in and sitting and not knowing where to sit, and it's just super, super embarrassing. I mean, I think they understood why that happened, but I should have done a little bit more. And this was years and years and years ago. I remember leaving that day like, gosh, you were not prepared to even know what your clients looked like. And that's what can happen through technology and deliver that. That was a major fail.
What's the thing you're most proud of?
In business, watching others inside our organization succeed.
And the negotiation that you are either proud of or absolutely bombed, and what we're going to do.
You know, I can't say that I truly failed on a negotiation, because I've never tried to negotiate. I've tried to understand what their point of view is and try to solve for what they know, because what I realize is the other side of a negotiation knows what they want. Yeah. And if we can go, and there are different types of negotiations. Obviously, there's media negotiations, there's partnership negotiations. But if we truly go in and ask questions the entire time, and we tell them, like, based on what you provided, we either can solve for that or we can't, you'll win. You'll win. The problem is everyone goes into negotiation and tries to strong arm, oversell, and looks so superior to the other side. Whereas if you go in and ask questions, it stands out because everyone else is going to try to sell, try to strong arm, try to push, and you're more so going in there with curiosity, trying to gather information. And if you go on that fact-finding mission, you'll always win.
That is fantastic. Closes the whole thing about closes it's a joke. Like, all closes is I make some promises to you, you make some promises to me, we hold each other accountable, and we both win, right? All right, so Mankato, you're just about to graduate Mankato. You showed up here, someone told you about coffee closures, you're sitting up there. Podcast, books, advice. What would you give that person?
I would really focus outside the industry, right? So in most cases, your industry is going to be a bit behind, right? There are other industries that are going to be way ahead. And so all of the research that I'm doing, this is exactly why I mentioned Uber and I mentioned Amazon, and we can talk about Bite Squad, and we can talk about all these other companies. Here's another example. Jimmy John's, like, their sort of value add is freaky fast food, Uber Eats and Bite Squad and DoorDash and the game level where you can get access to really any food that you want, and they're starting to obviously get further into the suburbs. Like, you have to pay attention to what's going on around you, or at some point you'll be obsolete. And so I'm always looking for cutting edge things that are outside of my world that maybe I don't have a perspective on, to know, like, hey, here are the things that are 5 years ahead of us and $40 billion ahead of us. Like, how can we learn from this? Because where people make the mistake is we are working with the same consumer that does those things, right? And I think that's what we forget. We think that our biggest competition as a company right now is the experience that people get elsewhere in the world, right? The way that you are able to order clothes, the way that you're able to order food, all these things that you can do are all things that we have to compete against, because if you don't get experience similar, you end up frustrated because we've been trained with technology that we want things so quick that we really have to focus on that. So a good podcast is Business Wars, right? Of listening to, with Wandry, like listening to, the Netflix, the Blockbuster, the ups and downs, the Blockbuster had it won, and then they pulled back on streaming, and Netflix stepped ahead, then they negotiate who's going to acquire who, and like learning things like that are so important. So many great books. I mean, Shoe Dog, Phil Knight, right? Like learning about Nike and how Nike was built is a big one. Relentless, right? Relentless is another one. Tim Grover, who coached Kobe Bryant, like that mindset of like, when you lose the championship, you go straight to the gym and keep practicing. Like most people don't work to that level, right? And so like that mindset. Brendan Bouchard, which I've been a high performance coach for forever with him. I don't coach; I did it for personal development. But High Performance Habits is another great book that really talks about what are your habits and following a high performance planner, and really focus on what those things are. I would also make sure that you set up your day the night before, right? So you're clear on like what are you going to do the next day, right? Just not using that brain power in the morning and knowing like here are the things that I need to accomplish. How do I make a difference today? And figuring out how your accomplishments are connected to something that you're passionate about, not something that's related to business. Right? So if you're making an impact and you're showing up for something that you stand for, that your organization stands for, they'll keep showing up. If it's about, hitting that business goal, once you hit it, you're going to look around lost and go like, well, now what do I do?
This has been fantastic. So, where's my man Rich? So we've got Vanna Rich over there. This is the time, if you guys haven't been here before, we're at 45, so please, I thought we should get started. You're all there.
Never just look right today.
Kris, you said you stayed focused. What are the process or rule systems within your team that decide where you go next or what you launch next? So that you know what to say no to?
I kind of mentioned it, and I briefly touched on it. It's listening to the feedback that we're getting from the consumer. That's how we decide where we're going, or what are they wanting that maybe has never been done before. Like those are the types of things that we're most focused on. Saying no is a really tough thing. I'll share real quick, like what I did and where I failed and how we've improved it. We receive hundreds and hundreds of messages on our social platform every day from business leaders, entrepreneurs, and so many questions, things. And about 2 years ago, we created a very formal, very respectful denial letter. And we knew that I just couldn't give any more time, right? I just couldn't answer all of those questions. And so I responded with this, very respectful denial letter. I'm so sorry I can't commit to this event. I can't commit to, whatever the ask was. But I'll be cheering you along. I'll be watching, and I'll be engaging on social media. And where I made a mistake is that to the point of where we had that conversation about the Facebook group, where I made a mistake is one, I started to realize that there are more people that have the same types of questions. And so denying one, I was really denying 100, right? And so I created this group which will launch in the next week, which is, it's live, but we haven't formally launched it yet. And it's Q&A with Kris Lindahl. And so what I realized is I can say no there in that message to hundreds and hundreds of people, but I can respond and say, if you join the Q&A with Kris Lindahl group, I'll answer your questions live so that we can help others with that same thing. So I made the mistake of saying no in a polite way to now well, what if I can answer the questions on video for 20,000 people rather than saying no to one? And so that was where it's not no, it's not yes, it's more of a redirect where I can still help, but it's also leverage at the same time. Thank you.
Over here. Hey, Kris, my name's Kevin Anderson. I actually recently launched a commercial real estate firm called Sitting Group about a year ago, and one of the same feelings of being stuck over the large guys and kind of going on and on and focusing on consumers. I'm just curious, I saw you guys dabbling a little bit in the commercial real estate world. A lot of people know you as a residential guy. I'm just curious, where you're taking the commercial side of things and how you see kind of the differentiators or differences between the residential and commercial game, kind of where you're going from here.
Yeah, great question. About 8 years ago, I realized that commercial was actually further behind the residential, right? And so to your point, congratulations on making the move. It is so far behind, and it's back to that same consumer. That same consumer lives in the same things and does the same things. But the days of a commercial real estate transaction where it's in someone's back pocket and they work 4 days a week with 3 hours a day doesn't work anymore. So about 8 years ago, I acquired MinnesotaCommercial.com, and I built out SEO for years and years and years at a complete loss. I acquired that domain name for a significant amount of money, knowing that there would be a day where we would enter that world. We're obviously getting more and more into that space now, but I believe that our X factor, once again, is the personal brand. When you think of all the other commercial real estate companies in the Twin Cities and around the country, the only reason you know their name is if you knew someone that worked there. All these centennial companies, by the way, brag about having a brand, but we don't see them anywhere. They all say they have a brand, but where are they? They're not marketing or advertising. The only thing that they have is they're relying on the sign in the yard or the listing from their agent or from their broker that's creating a brand for them. None of these companies are actually creating a brand, but they all brag about most well-known brand. But when you look, no one's on the radio, no one's on social. None of these CEOs are on video. None of these things are happening, but they all say that they have these huge brands. And so the X factor that we have, once again, going back, is the personal brand. Because we've been doing this for so long, it will be impossible for commercial real estate companies to stop us. Because what are they going to do? Are they going to step out of nowhere where people don't know who they are, where we've invested millions and millions and millions of dollars in brand recognition? The minute that we launch publicly that we're in commercial real estate and we're going to create an experience that's never been seen before, we instantly get velocity that those companies can't get. Thank you.
Hey Kris, Chip Knipple, how are you? Good to have you here. Yeah. So just two quick questions. One question is, just to set context, when you launched Kris Lindahl Real Estate, how big was your team, and then how big is it now?
Yeah.
And then the deeper one is, as you're building your company and personal brand, people within your team, how do you encourage them, or how do they work on building their own personal brand within Kris Lindahl Real Estate, or how does that all work?
Yeah, great question. There's so many interesting ways to do that. What was the first part of your question?
Like, how big were you when you started?
Okay,
How big
yeah.
are you now?
May 2018, 30, today, like 140, right? So in less than 2 years, year and a half. And that number will be at 170 in the next 30 days. And so, yeah, so when you look at personal branding and you look at, I think too many people are caught up in thinking that like this brand is a person, which it is, but it isn't at the same time. You think of Ford and Disney and Morgan Stanley and all of these companies, Henry Ford wasn't wearing every single hat inside of Ford, right? But those were built around a person. When you look at the money that we have invested in the market, every single agent in our company could build the biggest brand that anyone has ever seen by piggybacking off of the name that everyone sees, right? So if an agent in our company was Facebook Live every day, or did a story to the people that they're connected to, and they talked about our world-class experience, and they talked about why we do the billboards, how that benefits the consumer, all those things, they have instant name recognition and brand recognition that no other brokerage can offer. And so by building a brand requires a mindset that most people aren't willing to do. Now, you could go in an organization like ours, and we have unlimited opportunities for anyone that joins. We truly do, right? But if you wanted to take things to even another level, you could show up every single day on video talking about what it's like to work here. You could go to a coffee shop with a logo polo on. We have so many examples in our company of people being out in their community where it's an instant conversation starter about billboards, radio, TV, brand, like what we do, where they can build a brand that is so great. What most people get caught up in is they hear the name Kris Lindahl and they think that someone else can't piggyback off of that brand recognition. And this is the exact same way that so many of those companies that I mentioned to you do that same exact thing. Thank you.
One more over here. So, my name is Alexandra Lantner. This is my first year as a salesperson, and the topic of personal brand and social selling, that's something you're asking about. It's very much the theme here. But I suppose my question is that in meeting somebody who is so widely recognized in the community, not just for your business, but also for your service, and you're a personal brand where you're very willing to engage, and it means that there are a lot of people coming to you and expecting things from you. So I know that you show up and maybe you draw boundaries and having a video rather than having a million people come to you, but at what point do you reflect and how do you draw the boundary between like the amount of yourself that you're willing to give to these things that you care so much about?
Yeah, great question. To me, I look at everyone in this room as an influencer. I really do. Like, the word influencer has been so overused and it's so mislabeled because most people think of influencer as someone that got a lot of followers, right? They actually haven't accomplished anything in business or in the world. In some cases they have, but in most cases they had a bunch of followers, they may have bought followers, they may have done these things. Whereas for me, like, I want to actually accomplish something and I want to serve people and I want to give back, and that's the kind of influence that I want. Where people fall short is they sometimes think that, hey, because I have a less of a following, like I can't do that, or I can't be that, or I can't do this. And they think that you have to have a following like we do to make an impact. If you have 2 people that follow you on email, text, social media that you meet with, if you made an impact with one person, that's one more than you would have had before. The framework I have is like, I will take my poor quality video on my iPhone, where it's bouncing around with poor lighting, poor all those things. I'll take that video over everyone else's action, right? So everyone else is too scared to be on video. They're too scared to show up. And so for me, like, when I go in public, it's an obligation not only to my Be Generous project, to my company, their family, to my community, to everyone in my family, to everyone, for me to show up a certain way. I built this, and the problem is that so many people, when they get to a level of influence, You can use it for good or you can use it for bad, right? And there are so many people that have used that power in a negative way, and I'll never do that. Like I have a responsibility to show up for so many people that I know that when I'm in a community or I'm out in public or whatever that is, that I have to show up as a great person. You add the element of wearing a Be Generous shirt, which is almost like a uniform for anyone that wears it. You can't show up as a jerk when you're wearing a shirt that says Be Generous. It's true. Like, I have so many dear friends throughout the country that I've given these shirts to that say that shirt, wearing that shirt, how people approach them and what they say to them is a completely different level than they've ever lived. One thing that made me think of this, and I don't know how we're going to do this, I just thought of it right now, but this is how crazy I am, is that if everyone in a room wants a free Be Generous t-shirt, we'll buy it and give it to you. No catch, no nothing. All you have to do is just send me a message on the real Kris Lindahl on Instagram, or send it to my personal Facebook with your address and your size, and we'll give you a gift. Because I think what you'll see is you will see that wearing a shirt like that will change the way that you live. And don't take my word for it. Get one, put it on, and see how people treat you. And this isn't specific to being local, by the way. There are countries and states. I gave one to a gentleman that lives in Norway, right? And he sent me a picture with his arms out with his shirt and says every single person in Norway stops him, right? These things happen. And so when I think about that obligation, and I think about what you're saying there, like, we have to be willing to step up and show up that way, or else we shouldn't put ourselves out there, right? That's the code that comes with it.
Back on the side.
Hi, Kris. My name is Elmer. I have a question in regards to consumption and creation. We talked a lot about today working on developing your personal brand, and I work on social media that takes a lot of creation, right? Putting value out to your customers. But on the other end is consumption, whether it's understanding your customer or interacting with them or understanding your competition, books, podcasts. How do you balance your consumption for whatever purpose it is with your creation? Because both are so important, and I feel like we live in an over-consumed society that maybe isn't creating enough.
Yeah, great. That's really good. If you look at if you send me that message, if you look at the real Kris Lindahl Instagram, which I'm hoping that changes the Kris Lindahl, someone in a different state has it, where hopefully by Thursday we'll get that. Those are the favorites along the way. But if you look back to last Sunday, we launched the Minnesota Nice giveaway. So I went to in front of the Minnesota Welcome to Minnesota sign just across the Hudson border, because you hear the term Minnesota Nice so often, but we don't always show it, So I created a post and just said, hey, like, we're going to help some people that are in need. Just post your story and your Venmo, and we'll send you money. Like, we'll send you money, and we sent thousands and thousands of dollars over the last week. We helped an entrepreneur with creating an ice cream shop. We helped people with cancer. It's just amazing. And then what we did is we took the receipt of the Venmo and we put it as a story to further promote and further help more people and direct them back to that post. When you look at, like you said, the consumption and the creation, I look at everyone going one direction. Like you mentioned, overconsume, and I'm like, how do we go over here, right? Like, how do we go somewhere where no one's ever been? If you look at our Kris Lindahl Real Estate public Facebook page, we launched a Bench Buddies Minnesota Wild giveaway, and we had 700 comments in less than 10 hours with no boost, right? Because we're giving something different, and we're giving gifts and we're giving back, it stands out. I think what happens is people get so caught up in trying to create something that they don't do anything. They get this, like, what we think of as writer's block, where we're trying to be creative. It's like pulling the notepad out, like, oh, we're going to do something, and nothing happens, right? And so we're sitting there like, oh, I had this great idea, then I look at this notepad, now I have no idea. So one of the challenges that I personally make on myself is I create all these videos from my phone, and I don't know what I'm going to say. And it's really hard. It's really, really hard, right? Where I just go, okay, I'm going live right now, or I'm going to hit record right now. I'm going to put this pressure on my brain to perform and create content, to your point, where I don't actually know what I'm going to say or what I'm going to do. It's exactly what I do at every, I speak all over the country. I have a big keynote on Thursday. I've done zero research. I wrote nothing down. I'm showing up with no PowerPoint.
for 90 minutes. For 90 minutes, because I want that pressure. I mean, I spent years putting that pressure on myself and slowly getting a bit better. Whereas when you have a personal brand, just you showing up on a video can be that content that you're talking about. And when everyone else is, to your point, over-consuming, I totally agree. When everyone else is trying to sell something and I'm giving value and it stands out, it's like, wow, like, yeah, everyone's over-consuming sales content over here, but over here, we can get all this value from Kris Lindahl Real Estate that no one else wants to share with us because everyone's insecure that, hey, if we show and give everything to everyone, then they won't need us, right? Then we think we're going to be obsolete. But the reality is we have this obligation to teach and give back to help people have a better understanding because people are so overwhelmed within so many processes around the world that if we do give them more, it actually makes it for a better process for us and for everyone else in the industry. Thank you.
How you doing, Chris? This is since there's a lot of real estate agents either in attendance or on the live feed. This question comes from Hatham. He said, coming soon and pre-list strategy help build your business to what it is today. How will the new regulations affect it? And then second question, more personal. Zuckerberg told me it's your birthday tomorrow, so what's your plans?
Oh, that's good. So, by the way, Hatham used to work for us, and in typical Hatham fashion, he has to get his name in here. I love him. I love him. He's been a friend of mine forever. He made amazing contributions to our company. We're still friends today. And there was a major change in the real estate industry. It's a bit complicated to explain if you're not in the market or haven't been in the market, but I'll briefly describe it because Hatham wants me to. And so, March 1st, the MLSs, with the coming soon strategy that we developed, we were really sort of cutting edge. I mean, we were the first ones to create sort of our own website, our own social strategy around launching properties, almost the same way that Apple and iPhones and all these other, Tesla, the way that they pre-release vehicles and how they get people to put down payment on a vehicle that's not even in production yet. So what happened is effective March 1st, there's a policy that went into effect that says that you no longer can do that coming soon process the way as we knew it. What it is now is you have to follow what the MLS policy is where you put that in the MLS and you have to follow their guidelines. You have a 21-day period where it can be in coming soon, like there's a listing in coming soon, but you cannot show it. You can publicly advertise it, but you cannot show it to prospective clients. Whereas in our previous coming soon strategy, you could do that. One of the things that changed is when you list your home for sale with a listing brokerage, you had a withhold form that you had to sign, withhold from MLS, meaning you're doing remodeling, you're doing staging, you're doing things to the house, you're not ready to go live yet, you're outside of that 21-day period, you might be 2-3 months out. That used to be called the withhold from MLS. You could publicly advertise during that period. Today, it's a withhold with additional verbiage, but that new withhold form is now called listing brokerage exclusive, meaning that only the listing brokerage has access to share that with their clients and the people that they're connected to. They can no longer, in that listing exclusive period, they can no longer advertise in public, right? So people in the public can't see this. So let me tell you how that's going to affect everyone in this room when you buy or sell a house. When you buy a house, you will no longer see all of the coming soon that you're used to seeing on Zillow and Trulia, unless it's in that 21-day period that the MLS has. And if it's in that 21-day period, you can't get access. It cannot be shown. And the homeowner, when they list the property, agrees that during that MLS coming soon period, the property cannot be shown. On the homeowner side is that when it's in that withhold status, you cannot put a sign in the yard, you can't send out postcards, you can't share it on social media, you can't do anything. When it goes to the coming soon status, you can share that to the outside world, you just can't show it. So the significant advantage, and the advantage, what they were trying to do, I understand, they were trying to protect the MLS and the way that it's used. It created an advantage for Kris Lindahl Real Estate that is going to be so unfair. Because the listing exclusive process is specific to our brokerage, meaning billboards, radio, TV, all the things that you guys see as a homeowner. The only way that you get access to all of those buyers that register on our website is if you list with us and you're in that listing brokerage exclusive. If you work with another brokerage, you have no access to any of the inventory that we have coming up. If you're a homeowner, you have no access to the buyers. If you're a buyer, you have no access to what we have coming soon. Right? So the strategy I understand why they did it. It was a national thing. The local MLS did it sooner. It's going to create an advantage where the consumer is going to end up so frustrated that they cannot reach out to a listing brokerage where that property is listed and it's in renovations or in staging if they're not working with that one. It's going to create a environment that we have never seen, I can assure you of it. I don't know what the further adoptions are going to be, but where it's at today, everything that we have coming soon, which is hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of properties, the only way potential buyers get access to those for personal real estate is by working with us, I didn't create it. Most people think I didn't create it. It just set up an opportunity that is absolutely unbelievable for us. And then the second part, Brian, thank you for the questions and phenomenal job, by the way, with everything you're doing. The second part of the question is my birthday. I'm flying to Boston tomorrow morning. I've got a keynote presentation on Thursday, so tomorrow night they set up a dinner with a lot of the top mortgage and top real estate professionals in the Boston area. So I said I'd like to have 10 or 20 people that I could go spend a dinner with, and I could give back and share some of the things that we're doing in Minnesota, Wisconsin with them to help them do better in Boston. Thank you.
That's awesome.
So, as somebody that doesn't prep for things, I'm shocked that you guys got on a phone call first and went to your office. It's really cute. Someone had to call it out. No, so, what I've been thinking about though is, I preach this a lot as well. Just hit record on the camera, right? Or whatever source it is. Start writing a blog post. Just start. I'm a big proponent of that. But what that takes is experience in what you're actually talking about. If I asked you to tell me right now how to build an airplane, you couldn't do it. Nor should you, because that's not what your experience is. And so I think a lot of people in the room that are hearing your message and thinking, I need to start building my personal brand, speaking more about what I'm doing. I think the first question is, are you in a place where you could just hit record and speak to that right now without stuttering? Do you know enough to do that? I think the first step for producing content is getting to a point where you allow yourself to understand that you've amassed the knowledge you need and to move forward. So my question to you is, when did that happen for you in your life? When did you decide, now's the time I can turn this on? I'm at the level where I can do this.
Yeah, thank you. By the way, your company and everything you're doing, I watch all your videos. You do an awesome job, man. Thank you.
You watch all my videos?
I do, every single one of them. Listen, like, you're talking about video. I need to learn. I need to be better. I watch every single one of them. I truly do. So one of the things that with video is, like, if you look at the early days, you look at 2010, I had a tripod, I had a DSLR camera, I had a remote, I had a teleprompter, I had all this garbage that we think we need, which they're all excuses. You can name every single one of them. We're just trying to get the next thing, so we can avoid what we really need to do. And so we, once I got everything in place where I couldn't buy any more things, and these weren't expensive things, like I actually had to show up and do video. I was awful, but I did that for 8 hours a day. And so, if you want to do these things, and if you want to do that, like, what's your commitment level, right? Like, are you expecting to look at where I am, where I just, I think too often we look at a marathon, we look at first place, and we're like, wow, they just finished first place, but we don't look at the 10 years that they've been training underwater. Right? We only see what the finished product is. We don't see where they're at before. Where I spend 8 hours a day recording videos. Like, how many of you are doing that? Right? So my ability to be on video today was because of all of those years of showing up and being awful and being terrible and detaching myself from the feedback and the fear and knowing that I need to continue to move forward. And that's something that everyone in here has, but most people are too insecure to show that vulnerability. Right? They don't want to show people, and this is why when you look at business leaders, and you look at executives, look at everyone in our world, all of the appearance of the strongest people are the ones that are the most freaked out to be on video, to be on stage, to show that side. They are panicked. But they'll be on the top floor of their company, running everything with closed doors, with a straight dictatorship style, and they'll be the last one to show up. And I know for our company and for the people that follow us on social, if I can't show up on video, how can I expect them to? Right? How can I expect them to do that? And the first point of your question was, can I just hit the record button? I can. I can hit the record button and I can go for hours. Right? I can go for hours and hours and hours. And one tip that most people get stuck in is exactly that writer's block where you think you have to create something. Like that's where we all get stuck, including myself. The moment that I just said, I'm going to go live and I'm going to document something or I'm going to share what happened today or what happened in my world, it's a lot easier to share than the pressure of like, I need to create something that everyone's gonna love. Do you know what people will love? Is you showing up. Right now, you're doing a disservice to the people around you because you don't show up and do that. Right? And so the people, and I'll tell you that you will have fans and you will have people that don't like what you're doing. The people that don't like what you're doing are the ones that are freaked out to be on there. So they'd rather cast stones at you and judge you and say like, oh my gosh, you're on video, you're terrible. Like, I'd much rather see you terrible on video than be the person that's writing the comment, constructive comment or the negative comments that's casting stones at you and they're not doing anything. Thank you.
We got time for one last question. Maybe two. I don't know.
Hi, thanks. I don't know where to start. I have so many questions, but my mind is blown today. I've never heard you. I know nothing about you except this giant photo. I moved to Minneapolis about 1.5 years ago, and so I don't have the backstory. I just have these images. And on Twitter, I've seen a lot of negativity about the images, but your story is amazing to me, and I want to thank you for sharing it. This is really changing.
Thank you so much. I
greatly
really
appreciate it. My mind has changed. I'm incredibly impressed. A couple of things you've said, but I won't go too deep into it. But I do want to know how that negativity impacted you. Did it, or are you just who you are and you live your story in spite of all that noise?
Yeah, great question. Thank you so much for the compliment. The thing that's so interesting about it is like in the early days it bothered me. Today I am super freaked out if we don't have that. If we don't have people talking on social media, we're not making an impact. And I love when people give us negative and constructive feedback because that's the best data in the world. We know what they're thinking. I worry about the people that don't share anything, right? The ones that share, I love exactly what they share because it leads me to greater opportunities. And I'll share with you two super quick ones. One of the ones that everyone was making fun of on Twitter with memes, right? So there were all these different memes. There were some really good ones, like really good. I thought they were fun. And so I said, well, if everyone's creating memes, why wouldn't we create a meme contest and give back money for the best one? So we created a meme contest on Twitter. We did hundreds of memes, and everyone says Kris Lindahl's a genius, and I'm like, well, I just looked at what people were doing. Like, it doesn't seem that complicated to me. The other one that's recent is the Halloween costume contest on Facebook. I'd also remind everyone that cultures on different platforms are different, right? Where when you look at like Reddit or you look at Twitter, most people hide behind an alias, right? They're not connected to their family, their job. They're not showing real life. It's a different type of audience. Whereas Facebook is more personal. It's more like, here's where I work, here's my coworkers, here's my family. So people started sending us messages and reaching out and saying, we want to dress like Kris Lindahl for Halloween. So we started getting tons of them. And this was about 3 weeks before Halloween. And I said, if everyone's asking that, there are more people that think that are not asking it. Why don't we create a contest on Facebook and they can post their contest and then dress it up and we'll give back, I can't remember if we gave $3,000 or $2,000 to the winner, but it was so cool. The winner was, there were several of them and they were on Nicollet Mall and they had a plane pulling the billboard and they had a guy in a blue shirt like squatting, walking along the billboard, moving down Nicollet Mall. And you know, when I look at that, in that moment, I have that moment in my head forever because the only reason that happened and it looked that way is because we listened to our audience, right? So we listen to what they're saying and what they're doing. And that's really what we all need to be doing And if people don't have an opinion one way or another of you or your company, it means that you're not out there. It means that you're not making an impact. And when you can, and what you said is very common, because most people think that I'm like this egomaniac, because if you haven't been on a billboard, or you haven't put yourself out there like that, you actually don't know what that lens looks like. You assume that you must be super arrogant and super egotistical to put yourself out there because you love looking at yourself. But in a world that we live in today, we're so caught up in like this telephone game of like, please listen to what the person next to us said. And then we continue to tell that message to more people. We're so addicted to the drama that by the end, Kris Lindahl is the worst human being on the planet. Like, he treats everyone terrible. And like, can you imagine a world that we live in where all we do is we talk about others that way? Which means that you're robbing yourself of productivity and living a world-class life because you're so focused on what others are doing. And if you want to make an impact in this world, you have to take ownership for every action that you take. So thank you.
All right, we have one last question. So my question is edited a little bit because of time, but looking back at the last chapter of disrupting an industry, what are 3 things that you could tell me today in one sentence for each thing that I should consider when looking to disrupt an industry?
I didn't hear the first part of that.
So 3 things
Yep.
to consider when disrupting an industry
Yep.
in one sentence for each of them.
Yep. Number 1 is show up. Number 1 is show up. You have to show up. Like, if you're not willing, in building a personal brand, if you're not willing to show up and lead others, don't do it. Right? Because you can't build a personal brand unless you're willing to stand up here with each phone on each live stream, with people taking photos, and know that things are going to go on Twitter and Facebook and all these other places. You have to show up and be comfortable with that. And it's not for everyone, right? It's not for everyone. What I did and what we did, not everyone in this room has to do that, and some people want it, others don't. That's what makes us all, unique. But showing up is number 1. Number 2 is be focused on a personal brand. And number 3 is have a relentless pursuit of getting there, no matter what gets in your way. Like, no matter what gets in your way, no matter what that feedback is, no matter what shows up on the news, no matter what shows up on social media. I'll tell you, when we left the previous brokerage and we went on our own independent in May of 2018, which was the weekend of Memorial Day. We did it in like 5 days. We turned the entire company around, which is a testament to everyone that in our company. It's not a testament to me. When we did that, on Friday afternoon, we started getting phone calls from news agencies, from other real estate professionals that had called news agencies. We've heard Kris Lindahl's been indicted, newsrooms calling, like he went to jail, he's been thrown out of his previous brokerage, like he'd be for doing shady business practices, like all these things. You know what's so funny about all of these things is, like, in real estate, we have a license and we're bound to a code of ethics that anyone in here can go and look up if we've ever had trouble and we haven't. But yet, we all get caught up in this drama of passing these things along. None of that stuff stopped me. We still went on that relentless pursuit of launching that independent brokerage, even though news agencies are calling, they want interviews, requests, like all these things, all orchestrated for people that were trying to distract us and take us down. And the last part of that is, I'm going to give you a 4th one, and this one might be 1st, might be 4th. It's you have to connect with something that brings you joy and that you're passionate about. And that, for us, is be generous, but it's also having hobbies. I love to fish, right? I think too often, as we have families, as we grow, we stop focusing on ourselves, and we stop doing things that bring us joy, and we start focusing on everyone else. And if you can't take care of yourself, you can't show up for others. And those things are so important in showing up and being a leader. Thank you.
How we do in the theater. Author, brand intervention. Join us next time. But before we part, I want to get up off your feet and give this guy a standing ovation. To network and hang out and have coffee with you guys, so we'll meet you up in the lobby. Sound good? Yeah. All right.
Hey, Kris. Yeah, of course.